Hello and welcome to this FIFA 18 experiment. Today we're going to be finding out if the top 10 best clubs are better or worse than the top 10 best international teams. The clubs can basically get anyone they want in theory as long as they can afford them. But the prices these days are stupid, like 400 million for Neymar, I think overall, and then that like 146 million for Coutinho, 75 million for a centre-back Van Dijk. It is getting absolutely ridiculous. But there's only a few clubs in the world that can do this, and when they do it, they can only get 2 or 3 players in. To build a club of them, a world-class squad of all these awesome players, is very difficult. Will these clubs be good enough to be able to play against the international teams? Because the international teams, they can get anyone from that nation, but they're kind of restricted in a way because they've got to hope that the youth academies for the clubs are good enough to supply these international teams with the quality to win the World Cup or any other international tournaments like the European Championships, for example. But they need the quality in this circumstance to be able to try and beat these clubs in the league. Because what I'm going to end up doing is putting these 20 clubs that I'll show you in a minute, and we'll see how they do over a season in the league, and we'll see some of the stats of the players and who really performs well in these situations. And it might give you a slight insight into who might be able to win the World Cup in Russia in 2018 in a few months' time in June. So how I picked the clubs was that I went onto whoscored.com, which has a lot of statistics for all the teams in the world, and I base it on the top 5 leagues because the best teams in the world come from the Premier League, Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A and Liga, and there's no other team that I can think of really that would really compete against some of these teams like Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. They're just too good for them. So that's what I've done. I've gone onto this website, I've found the statistics based on how many points they get on average over the season. They've all played about 27 games-ish now, so it's quite fair. But I did this about 2 weeks ago, so it might be slightly out now. I think Liverpool have now entered the top 10 now instead, but they're not going to be featuring in this video based on the fact that I did it 2 weeks ago. But it's the best I can do. So I'll read the teams out for the clubs in a minute, but also for the international teams, I based it on the top 10 in the world rankings that are in FIFA, and I believe all 10 are in FIFA, so we should have no issues with that. Anyway, let's get into the teams. I'll read them all out in case you can't read them on the screen based on maybe you watching it on a mobile device or whatever, but let's read out the teams. We have Spain, Bayern Munich, Brazil, Germany, Juventus, Barcelona, Belgium, France, Manchester City, Manchester United, Atletico Madrid, Argentina, Portugal, Paris, Napoli, Monaco, Switzerland, Chile, Poland and Marseille at the bottom there. Those are the 20 teams that we put into a league, which I'll simulate and I'll show you the results after a season. At the halfway point in the season, after 19 games have been played, Manchester City are top with 37 points. Joint on points though with PSG. They're also on 37 points and they have scored less goals. So that means they've actually ended up with a goal difference of 3 less. So that's interesting. Now, below them you've got Juventus 5 points behind. It's looking like a 2-horse race at the top of the table. Switzerland, though, doing very, very well. Up there with Juventus and Barcelona only a point behind. They're ahead of some very good teams. Brazil in 6th, Belgium in 7th, France in 8th, Spain in 9th. A number of points behind Switzerland. So what are they doing on that training ground? They're obviously getting a lot out of their players, and from the top of my head, I can't think of that many world-class Switzerland players, really. Like Lichtsteiner, Shaqiri, Xhaka, maybe Ricardo Rodriguez as a left-back. There's not that many really good ones, but they seem to be playing better than some of the other players who are really world-class, like Messi, Neymar. There's some quality players in that league, but they seem to be outperforming them. Anyway, let's look at the bottom now of the table. We can see that, Manchester United are struggling. 18 points. Napoli, 19th place. Not too bad really, but then you've got Germany. Germany are 20th after 19 games. What has happened to them? 20th place. 20th place. They won the World Cup in real life, and that meant that They've now come 20th. They're in theory the worst team after 19 games. Something is seriously going wrong. Maybe a change of management is in order, because they need to get some wins now and lift themselves above some of these teams in the bottom for the sake of their reputation. After 38 games in the Epic Premier League, well, it's supposed to say Epic Premier League, but FIFA didn't give me enough characters. Manchester City end up winning it by 3 points ahead of Juventus, 69 to 66. Belgium and Barcelona joined on points, and Belgium come third by a couple of goals there. Then Spain in 5th ahead of Paris, and then another point ahead of France in 7th. Brazil a few points behind France in 8th, and Atletico Madrid ahead of Poland. And Poland do very, very well to beat Bayern Munich and Manchester United and a load of other teams below them that are actually very, very good. And Manchester United improved by 6 places, well done to them. Argentina, even though they've got Messi and Aguero, they're still struggling a little bit and come in 13th place. Portugal, though, they won the European Championship last time it happened, and they managed to come 15th, so not really that great. Switzerland, they ended up doing so well in the first half of the season, but in the second half they seemed to struggle so much, getting 7 points and not really doing very well, dropping a lot of places in the table. Germany, though, they do improve by a few places, not by many, but they've got out of the bottom 3, and that means that in theory, if this was the Premier League, then they would not be relegated. But 38 points isn't that great for Germany. I was expecting a lot more from them, but that happened. And then Chile, Napoli and Marseille end up in the bottom 3, not having a great season for themselves. But if you compare those 3 teams to the rest of the teams in this league, you're not expecting much from Chile, Napoli and Marseille. Anyway, in the top scorers, Payet and Costa end up top there, 20 each. Neymar in a close third with 18 goals. Not bad at all from him. Sane also does very well for the champions. Manchester City 17. Then you got 15 for Cavani, and the rest seem to be quite a long way behind the top few. But with assists, Neymar tops it, so does quite well in top scorers, but does exceptionally well in the assists. Gets the most assists by 4. Aguero, even though he's a striker, gets a lot of assists. He's been very, very cooperative with his teammates. Then Messi for Barcelona with 9. Lukaku also on 9. Another striker with a lot of assists this time. It's interesting to see they get a lot of assists as strikers in this league. Then you've got Payet, Busquets, Jermaine and Bernardeschi on 8 as well. So there's quite a few players there that have actually get the same amount of assists. But then in the clean sheets we've got Bravo on 14, Szczesny with 12, and De Gea joining him on 12 as well in joint seconds. Then quite a large gap between De Gea and Buffon. The rest of the keepers are quite close together. But I'm surprised that Neuer only got 5. I was expecting a few more than that. Especially considering that Stark did better than him in the same team, which is kind of weird. But anyway guys, that is going to be the end of this experiment. We've concluded the full season, we've shown the results. But what actually happened? What was the result of this? And what does it show? Well, Manchester City, in theory, are the best team in Europe, and they should be able to go and win the Champions League in theory in real life if you base it on these results. But yeah, it's interesting, you've got quite a few teams there. They did quite poorly. I was expecting maybe Brazil to do a bit better, and maybe Germany as well. And then a lot of the clubs that I was expecting to do quite well, well, Bayern Munich, I think they should do better than that, but they didn't. Maybe PSG would go ahead of Spain. There's a few interesting results here, but overall the clubs end up just coming out on top. Only one international team in the top 4, and a lot of the clubs are higher than a lot of these national teams here. So overall the clubs come out on top. They have the better players, they are better than the international teams if you were to put them in a 38 game league, and that is what is shown today. Anyway guys, hopefully you have enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss another video, and also turn on those notifications, ring that bell. It wants to be rung, and that means you won't miss a future video. Get it on your phone or get an email or something like that, and it'll make it so you can be first to watch every single one of my videos, because I know a lot of you like to put the first comment on every video that I make, so make sure you're there so you can put that comment on there straight away. And there you go. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.